Hey, everybody, surprise, surprise. We got Andre here. Yay. And
Hi,
he's still
everyone.
in the mountainous regions of where?
In the mountainous regions of my office. No, it's just that this is it's something you can do with Zoom if you have a proper background. You can put neat
Are you
places.
back home now?
I am, yeah.
Did
I'm
you have a
definitely
nice
back home.
vacation?
I did. Had a nice vacation. Although it would have been better to have chosen um, probably this month, just because it's so hot. And
Yeah, Andre was saying in Spain he had no air conditioning.
well, no, I did, but sometimes I didn't. And when
Okay.
not, because it was hot in so many places, it was a little
Right.
more uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's okay. It was still a good trip. I
right,
still enjoyed
right.
it. Yeah.
I'll tell you, some of these hotels or whatever, they got the little air ones. I got that thing going full blast.
Yeah, because I hear that where you are, it's
Yeah.
pretty hot. Yeah.
I stayed at a fancy schmancy hotel, very well known, built in the 1800s up at Yosemite.
Mm.
Their meals were fantastic, but they had their things set at a certain degree and you couldn't change it. You couldn't get cooler. And I'm like, wait a second. I can't stay in a place with no air moving.
Mm.
So they did give me a fan, but it was a lot of money to pay for a place that you couldn't be real comfortable.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. You have to adapt
And
to that.
I'm down there in my moo and my flip flops. Oh hell no!
Yeah.
So okay, here we go. So this is from Lynn, and she just wants to know: did you could we take a pulse check on midterms for the House and the Senate? I'm still holding firm that the Dems are going to take it.
Yeah, the this is where I remember posting a video in the summer of 21 where I was just looking at Biden's chart and it just looked so strong in November. And I remember just asking, well, why is this guy so happy in November? And noticed that he was really not doing very well until the summer. And that's the beginning of that because ahead of that November thing, there was another connection. It's Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet you need to protect you and to help you when times are rough. And he's done really well since the summer. Notice that in a way his foil is Trump, and he's had a really rough time of it around the same time. Things really downtraded. So yeah, I continue to be optimistic, and I guess maybe the absolute worst result would be only one of the two, but I still think
I think both.
yeah, because the thing about the House is that it is a pretty tight thing. The charts of McCarthy and Pelosi, but if I had to pick of the two, I would pick Pelosi. So,
Okay.
this to me indicates, yeah, that we should hold out hope. And by the way, this is where all the metrics I keep hearing, it's gotten tighter and tighter in the polls, and the House is the only thing they still say should go Republican, but that it keeps getting closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that the landscape is pretty hostile to the crazy MAGA theories. Because look what happened to Sarah
Right.
Palin up in Alaska, right? Sarah Palin used to be the queen, up there, and now,
So there's a guy that was on some commission state that just got pulled off because he was involved in the insurrection.
yeah, that's the other thing that every other day we hear something new. Like today, it's that other woman in Georgia. She was opening the door, and then they were saying, well, yeah, she was opening the door, and she was one of the fake electors. I think there's something suspicious here. Yeah.
There you
I
go.
mean, it's so incredible. So, I mean, yeah, and that's one aspect, right, of it. But what about Roe v. Wade? I mean, this was one of the worst
This was a
decisions.
gift they handed, even though a lot of women
Yeah,
are suffering
yeah.
because of it.
Because the thing is that if you have a voter base and then you dramatically expand it through something you do, and there Democrats are voting against something, which it's another one of the truths of voting that people more typically vote against rather than for, and you've given them a gift, and then there's the gift of Trump because he just never stops. The man keeps, no matter what. I mean, this guy will never give in. You know, he
So
keeps,
just now on the news, they said Dr. Oz is changing his tune on January, on the voting.
what is he saying now? That I haven't.
I guess that it wasn't rigged.
Oh, that it wasn't rigged.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't quote me, you guys. I just barely caught that while I was going through the room.
I mean, Oz is having problems because his opponent seems sensible, right? And
He tried to ride the wave. He still is with Turkey and try to lie to everybody that he lives in New Jersey. He doesn't. He's, you know, he goes with the flow. It's weird. He got up with Trump though.
yeah, well, but that's Trump because Trump's thing is always, you know, the central casting thing. What he does is, if someone has been on TV somewhere, automatically they get big respect from him. Either that or they're a celebrity. It's the same thing with Herschel Walker in Georgia. I mean, Herschel Walker doesn't even seem competent to do a job like that. He seems
It's kind of
mentally
so, I feel sorry for him because he
out of
really
whack.
is. It's like, could he really be that stupid?
Well, I mean, he was playing football, so that's kind of a dangerous sport for maintaining your mental acuity.
Well, a lot of people love him. I guess he was a good football player, but no, he shouldn't be running.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this is the thing that elections, especially in the last 10 years, they tend to be really tight. So all you need to do is peel off a small percentage. That's why the Democrats got the Senate. It was in the post-election period, Republicans undervoted, probably because of Trump. You know, they were partly a little bit demoralized because they had lost, but then Trump said to them, "Oh, you know, don't vote. It's not, you know, voting is all rigged and all that." So then many voted, but just enough, you know, didn't, and then you can lose. So
I don't see a big red. I don't see a big, oh, so-and-so won by a landslide. I'm
no,
seeing people losing, bada bing, bada boom. How's Mitch McConnell? Have you taken a look at him lately?
Mitch McConnell, all I've said the whole time, because he's one of those charts where I don't have a time, but it looks, Mitch McConnell's chart looks suspiciously like when he was out of power, because McConnell, between, I think it was, I know definitely the Obama years, 2008 to 2014, those 6 years, he was a minority leader, and he's back there. So, and yeah, even just looking at the day positions and not even focusing on that, you can see very good odds, extremely good odds that he stays in the background as a result, right?
Yeah, I felt like and that he won't run again. I feel like he's just done.
Well, yeah, I mean, isn't he 80 something now?
I don't know.
He's quite old. He's quite old, and also there's Schumer, whose chart looks better. So that's another
Okay.
clue, right?
Okay.
You know that it goes.
So did you take a look, see at Merrick Garland with all this pressure about the Trump thing?
Yeah, Merrick Garland, I brought him up a number of times, in that, of course, you see the pressure there. Pressure in astrology is nearly always connected to Saturn in some way.
Yeah.
Definitely under pressure, and he's under pressure all the way through into November. But once you get to November and beyond, it gets interesting because November, that place that helps Biden also helps Garland. And probably the bigger tell is that when you go into 2023 in the spring, there's a major planetary shift there that is much better for Garland and for Biden, right? And
Yeah.
that's sort of the clue. And by the way, very bad for Trump. You see, so this is where
Yes.
you see this problem. So I continue to be, you know, optimistic on
You've
Garland.
been saying this from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, people are really critical, but you know, people just seem to forget that the justice system moves really slow for all kinds of people. It's so slow. Like, I'll often hear of something, I'll say, "Wait a second, that happened 5 years ago, and you're bringing it up now. What have you been doing for 5 years?" They just, you know, they look, and then there are also the delays. I mean, this, by the way, is Trump's whole game, is just to delay. This thing with
Right.
the special master, it's just a delay tactic because, you know, it's so someone
Now,
can
what
come
did you
in.
get on that? Are you getting, you kind of looked at this lady, but you're not sure if you have her.
Yeah, like this Eileen Cannon, she was born in Cali in Colombia, and the only thing I have is a day, and even that is maybe not right. I mean, I found
What
one
sign is
site.
she?
It's a Scorpio, and the thing is, when you see where her Scorpio planets are, and she also has Libra planets, they are very sympathetic to Trump. So it's not just that she's a right-wing judge; her chart lines up well. And as often happens, though, you see this a lot with Trump relationships because it happened with Bill Barr. You see like all these nice things, and then you see this one thing that looks really threatening. I mean, Trump is such a crook, it just takes the one thing, right, to at some point have the person turn against you. So I don't think he can bank on it, but it's like one of those many Pyrrhic victories that he gets. He's going along, he's
Right.
getting slammed, and then someone says, "Oh, well, maybe not completely. Let's look at whatever."
I had a feeling that she was going to change it. I did. I wrote on my comments in my community, you guys are getting a bad feeling about her. But just like with Roe versus Wade, yeah, it happened, but this is not going to tear it up. It's still moving forward.
No, no, I don't see that at all. I mean, the thing is with Trump's is to focus on where he is, but also where he's going. And the astrology is just brutal with Trump, because it's like he's tempting the worst planet positions by doing the worst things. That's just like sort of the opposite of advice you'd give anyone to say, well, hey, don't do that because if you push it there, it can blow up on you. And he's like literally trying to take on the whole system.
Right.
And systems are designed to protect themselves. And the American justice system has been around way longer than Trump. And of course, it's going to try to protect itself because if you
Right.
allow like this guy's like an anarchist. He wants to incite violence and tear everything down. Without any sense at all. So and that's just the speaking plainly, politics, common sense, whatever. But from the astrology, I wouldn't want his chart. In fact, by the way, I've said this many times, like Putin, he's at risk of health breakdowns. They haven't happened yet, but the way he lives his life and the pressure he puts on himself and the external pressures that are coming in. Sorry,
Yeah.
but no, that's just
So
too dangerous.
how have you seen Putin? Putin's buying a whole bunch of war stuff from Korea.
Yeah, Putin's chart is really maladjusted, and I don't know if it's true. Maybe I'll ask what you think, but I keep seeing every so often like he's hanging onto the desk, or like apparently his health is not good, right?
Right, right.
So, and then the chart is not a winning chart. It's not.
Okay.
It's the chart of a person that is hanging on, and look at the results he's gotten. I mean, they haven't been good. Anytime you read a little deep into it, they say this thing can't last because he's bankrupting the country and everything else. So,
Right.
I,
So do you think Trump stealing classified documents is a nothing burger, or will this turn into something huge?
no, I think it's a big. It's not a nothing burger. It's a
Oh,
giant.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about Nancy Pelosi, and you know what? She's did something with a foreign so and so, so she's considered a traitor. And traitors are, the death penalty is appropriate justice, and everybody's repeating it on Twitter. Yeah, girl, traitor gets the death penalty.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I don't think it's a nothing burger. I think it's a classic. It's just so ironic that Trump went after Hillary so hard, and then, but I mean, look at what he did though. He pushed this right to the limit. I think he didn't think. I think he didn't think it would happen because when I look at the August positions, the most telltale thing there is the Uranus station in August. Uranus is like a shock, like, oh, you just go, how did that happen? So I think he didn't believe that they would ever break in like that and take his stuff.
Yeah, because they
Well,
just pansy. They said, no, you got everything. And
well, no, and I mean, he thought it's kind of like the way Trump kind of computes, and my sense of him is he looks at a guy like Garland who looks understated and he thinks, oh, he's just another bureaucrat. He wouldn't dare. Well, Garland just kind of thought, no, I mean, you
yeah, no.
totally broke the law. So then my feeling about this is that it's a lot like this thing, the Al Capone principle, this major gangster in the 20th century. He was murdering everyone right and left. They never got him on murder. They got him on tax evasion. It's
Yes.
easier because you leave a paper trail. He's just left major paper trail with obstruction of justice alone is enough. It's pretty easy to
Right.
prove because they'll just say, look, we asked you, we pleaded with you, we gave you a subpoena, you ignored it. That's why we did what we did.
And they
It's all
just
legal.
arrested an oligarch, I think in
Yeah.
New York, with classified information he got from Trump.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
That I didn't know. Well, see, that's the thing. This is the other thing, by the way, that the way the DOJ is going to work and the FBI, what about those, whatever, how many is it, 40, 50 empty folders?
I know 44.
What was inside the folders?
Yeah, and who
Right?
has them?
If you trace that to anyone, and by the way, with Trump, uh, I think one of the rules with Trump is it'll always be worse than what you thought at first because it's
Whoa.
just the way he does things in this way. Did you could you believe that he would do what he did? I'm a little stunned. I mean, that you would think you
But
can
he
take.
had the gonads. I'm president. I can do anything.
Well, obviously you can't, right? That's what the system is showing you. I mean, in the end, like all this stuff, I think, look at the number of times that you see Trump people, they say one thing, like including his lawyers, they never go into court. These new lawyers that apparently don't know what they're doing because they're incompetent and all the rest, they don't go into court saying the same things they say in public. In court, they know they got to respect the rules. So in court, you got to have evidence. And the problem is, who has the evidence here? The government has the evidence. They'll just show the papers. This is what we got. And by the way, his chart shows this too, that is one of the vulnerabilities because the whole idea of information and records is in there. And the last thing you want to do is get on the wrong side of that, right? Because you're giving
Yeah.
people a pathway. My sense of this guy is that that's the likely place they're going to get him. And then all the other stuff, like dominoes, will start to
Right, right.
expand
I
from
do
there.
see him losing everything. I've always saw mass amount of money's going.
Yeah, yeah, and that's my sense too. I would not.
And if like I said, if President Obama had left with a classified
Oh,
folder, just one, and took
yeah,
it home with him,
right.
Trump, there would already be an execution date.
Well, maybe not an execution date, but let's just say he would be in major trouble, as you should be.
And Trump
Okay.
would have pushed it.
Oh yeah, no,
How
no,
dare he? Just like with Hillary Clinton. She used her cell phone. Come to find out, his whole family used personal cell phones.
yeah,
And he okayed top secret clearance for people who didn't qualify for it.
oh for sure, for sure. I mean, don't be surprised if for years going into the future we see all kinds of people getting dragged into legal
Oh,
trouble
yeah.
because of this guy. Because this guy is like the incarnation of carelessness. He just that is careless. He just
No,
doesn't care.
and I am king, and nobody will tell me. He's demanding on his true social that he be put back into office.
Oh yeah, right. I know, and that's gonna happen. I know.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I got to tell you two different things. First of all, I am feeling he's actually disappointment that crowds didn't gather like George Floyd and riots happened in the street. That's what he wanted.
Right.
He didn't want 12 people go to Mar-a-Lago and honk their horns with signs. And Mar-a-Lago didn't let them use their toilets.
Yeah.
That he was very disappointed in that. He wants violence. He wants people just taking machine guns, going out there fighting in his name. And that's not happening.
No.
Right now, there's a whole bunch of people in Florida telling me, guess what? My neighborhood, Trump neighborhood, all of a sudden they're taking their signs down.
Well, and by the way, you're seeing, I mean, for all the criticism to the DOJ, it's because people expect, well, it should be Trump already, in handcuffs. But
Yeah,
the other day they put an ex-police guy 10 years in jail
yeah.
because he beat up. So I mean, people are seeing this. If you,
It's happening, but also the DOJ is here's what I get, and you can tell me what you think. I'm feeling the DOJ, number one, and I've been saying it, and everybody they were mad at Garland. And I said, he's working. First of all, he had to clear out the riffraff with the FBI because there's a lot of Trumpsters in there. He didn't know who he could trust. And then they have been getting information from Intel all around the world. And I've even heard there's a couple of people that may have been injured or hurt or died or something because of information Trump put out. And let me tell you, Russia has all of it.
yeah,
But there's
yeah.
other people too that he sold information to.
Yeah, no, that I like I said, whatever you bring up,
Right.
I'll
And
say,
so
I say
what
it's
I
worse than
see,
that.
I see Merrick Garland kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, but they know how bad this is. You couldn't even begin, like if an asteroid was heading to the Earth and we were all going to die, I could see Merrick saying, I just want you guys to know he did all these things. And it was awful. It
Yeah.
was awful.
Yeah, and by the way, this is where a Trumper will always say, "Oh, this thing, in August, they went into his house, and I'm almost sure that what happened there is that Garland, with what you're saying, they saw documents and they realized, well, he's got all this stuff, and we're like, well, this is dangerous. We've got to act on this right away.
Well, they've known he's been dangerous for a while.
Yeah. So
And let me tell you something, that's why they're entering carefully, because he has phone numbers to people he can call.
Yeah.
And create all kinds of chaos. So
Yeah.
they're going in lightly, but I'm going to tell you, he has been known, General Flynn, we need to take all the voting machines. We need to put the military in there. It's like, what? For reals?
I mean, in the end, it all gets decided in court, and there you have to present actual evidence.
But this lady, I think Garland or the people around him, they kind of knew she was going to do this. I don't know why. Maybe because she belongs to the Federalist Society. But they got their ducks in a row. That's why I don't want people to freak out. Somebody on the Twitter was, it's going to be another 2 years. No, it's not. Trust me, it's not.
No, but see, this is the thing. So what if it's another 2 years? As long as it's moving in the right direction, don't worry, relax. This is the legal system. I mean, a guy like Trump, first of all, in case you hadn't noticed, he appeals everything all the way to the Supreme Court. As long as he's got money. So it's never going to happen quickly.
What's interesting is the Supreme Court usually votes against him.
Well, because it's so rampant, right? He wants insane things that make no legal sense. He thinks that. I mean, I don't know if you saw that thing that they submitted. It was like 30 pages, and it sounded all like Trump talking, saying, "Oh, I'm the greatest and the best, and I'm going to be running for president." And you kind of go, "Well, what's got to do with this?" You have to answer here is that you had documents at your house, but he got his lawyers to go along with it. I bet you those lawyers are going to get disbarred.
I'm sure of it. He's bringing a lot of people down.
When you make statements that are false, your law license.
Well, that Scorpio judge, she's going to go down too.
Okay, that I don't know.
I see other judges gathering together because all the professionals out there looked at her opinion and it was nonsense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because she talks about it's this canard, with executive privilege, which he doesn't have. It's including, I mean, it gets even worse.
And it was noted with the DOJ, he does not have executive privilege according to the Supreme Court, and she's still acting like, well, technically we don't know if he has it. Yeah, we do know he has executive. He doesn't have executive.
You know what I think though? I think with judges, well, with her, for example, this is a possibility. I don't know if this is true, but it could also be that she's kind of doing, the Solomon's routine. Like, I'm just gonna kind of go in the middle, and that way she's not vulnerable to MAGA people storming her house, right? Because
and also I really feel that Federalists or the big money was on the phone with her, bugging her about this.
Possible, yeah, very.
I
possible.
really feel it was kind of taken out of her hands.
Yeah. But again, I mean, I don't know. I wish I knew a little more about who actually appoints the special.
Yeah, she was at the last minute. She was appointed at the last minute.
Yeah,
when he had already lost his president.
Yeah, although she was already, I looked it up, and she was being processed through the Senate and everything in the spring of that year. So, and she was confirmed by the Senate, I think 56-20, which means some Democrats went along, which means she's probably not that extreme, or they would have made more noise.
Right.
So my guess is just that what she's doing is she's engaging in some delay, but papers are hard to get around.
Yeah.
You're gonna look at papers, and then, maybe there are some documents that they can give them back or whatever. But remember one thing, right? I don't know if you noticed Bill Barr, who's now totally turned against Trump, right? And he said when the FBI goes into a place to look for something that they think you've taken, anything around that something, anything is fair game, right? So if they look in one of your drawers and they see classified documents, the entire drawer gets taken away. And that's totally legal because they have to figure out, well, why is this document next to this person's underwear or whatever, right?
Right.
So they seize it, and it's not like they're going to say, well, no, we'll only take the document. They take everything. And Bill Barr said this on Fox. He basically said that's the way it works. It's not mysterious. So all of it, to say, well, they're going to let him off the hook. You need you need something tangible, right? And it's a heck of a trip when they can say, all I can tell you is, look, nuclear document, sitting on his desk. That's not supposed to be there. And what about the fact that there are multiple witnesses like Meadows and Cipollone who told them you got to return those documents, right? So you can only claim to be stupid for
Right,
so
and
long.
there's by the way, there's people talking against him right now that are close to him.
Yeah, exactly. And all of that, by the way, is in the astrology too, because another thing I've been saying for years is he's got all this pressure in the house where people support you, like your helpers, your employees, right? So in a way, all these people are his employees. Well, they're kind of all running for they're leaving like rats out of a ship. But a lot of it, by the way, don't think they're noble. They're just trying to save their own life. They're thinking, I'm not gonna do time for you. I think that's why Barr quit, by the way. Barr just realized this isn't gonna work. If I keep going with this guy,
Right.
he's gonna get me in legal
I
trouble.
can't believe Barr. I swear to God, but listen, is the Mueller thing going to snap him in the butt? I always saw it coming back on him.
It's possible, although I think with Barr is the sneakiest. I think pinning something on him is going to be really hard because
Okay.
my sense of Barr is that he pushes the corruption right to the limit of what he knows to be possible, right? And he
Yeah.
won't go beyond that. And so
He
I don't
does
be,
feel when he's talking on Fox and he's really talking trash about Trump, he feels more relaxed now.
yeah, that's a way to put it. Yeah, sure.
When he testified before Congress, he was doing cat and mouse stuff. Now he's just, look, they're calling it unprecedented. Well, it's unprecedented for a president to take nation secrets to his home, to a golf center.
Yeah, no, and by the way, when they corner him, they haven't done it recently, but the last time they cornered him and said, well, would you vote for him in 24? And he said yes, which is crazy because on the one hand, you're saying the man is incapable, he's a moron, and he's a crook, but I would vote for him. But he says, no, no matter what, it's better than anything the Democrats, because those people are the worst thing for the country, right? So he's revealing that he's not a rhino the way Trump is calling him a rhino. He's a true blue Republican. He is saying,
Yeah, but I don't know. If you got a better Republican out there, he might do that.
yeah,
Trump is a liar and a cheat and a scam artist, and he didn't do any work while he was there.
yeah, no. But the thing with Trump is he knows that he can manipulate the message and keep,
Yeah, and the other thing, President Biden used Marines in the background on our tax dollar, and they were showing almost every single president, especially Trump, used Marines in the background.
yeah, no. But you know what that is, though, right? This is the thing about people that are this. It's like your followers. They're like sheep. If they once they approve of you for some central reason, because they think of him as like the white supremacist leader who's protecting their interests, they don't care about the rest. I mean, he's figured
Yeah.
that out, so it
It's
doesn't matter
almost
what he does.
shocking. It's those liars you knew in school that would say don't bold-faced lies, and you're shocked that anybody believes it. And I'm always still surprised how he just lies and lies and lies, and people
Right,
believe it.
right. And the thing is that that's part of the era we're in, and it's going to be around still at least until the 24 election and probably beyond for a couple of years, is that we're in that civil war, very
Right
similar
now,
to the
by the way,
1860s.
speaking of Civil War, do you see any kind of? I see a few things, but it seems isolated, and it seems like these groups, and then the military takes them out.
Yeah, I see it as exactly that. Yeah, I see it as like if a skirmish starts, like I don't see it the way it was in the back 100 whatever years ago.
Yeah.
Then they had money to, in the South, they actually put together an army and they fought to the death. But now it's more like, guerrilla warfare, but it's not a good plan. I mean, these guys that say, oh, we're gonna have the guns, yeah, but the other side has bigger guns. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with
And
that?
also, hello, there's a lot of Democrats that own guns.
Well, that too, but the thing with Democrats, though, we have to think of the solution as voting. Voting is
Yeah.
the key because let the chips fall where they may. Make sure your vote is in, and then if they get into an argument, let the paper trail and let the vote. That's what's happened. That's so far, for all this screaming and yelling, that's what's happened. Stick with that, because if you start thinking, well, we're going to have to all take up guns, I mean, that's, I guess if we have
Well,
to.
now that I've heard Dr. Oz has changed his tone, something Trump's going to get mad at him about, he might tell people not to come out and vote. I've always seen Fetterman winning, not Oz.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, with Oz, if Oz says that, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to pull all the clips where he was saying the opposite, and they're going to.
Yeah.
Now that's what I would do. I would say, well, like, which is it? You just say, well, so obviously things weren't going well for you. Now you're turning to common sense, or you're turning to the truth. So how can anyone trust you? It's
So
stupid.
word is that Marjorie Taylor Greene is falling behind in the polls.
But isn't she?
She's Georgia.
Right? But she won her seat in 20.
No, but she's running. She's running now.
Oh,
She
I see.
won with the Reid
Wait.
people.
So are you saying that the polls are showing she's losing ground to the
She's
Democrats?
losing to the Democrat.
Okay, well, that would be. I thought. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I thought her district was really Republican. It's
Yeah,
not?
but this is the state of Georgia.
No, yeah,
Wait.
but she's running. In the
She's
district.
going to run against. Let's look at her. Hold on. She's going to run against a Democrat.
Right, but she runs in a. It's not a statewide election.
Oh,
It's a state in a district, and when I looked at her district, it looked like the most of the voters are more Republican. So hoping for a Democrat.
somebody on Twitter, and you can't. Oh, she's so ignorant.
Well, yeah, that would be true.
Yeah, I'm not seeing. Let's see her polls. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Georgia 14.
Georgia 14th
Yeah, Georgia 14.
congressional district. Here's the primary. Okay, and then they're going to have November 8th. They're having the election, 2022.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a question of whether the Democrat.
Marcus Flower is running against her. Marcus Flower is going to win. He's got 75.2%.
That doesn't sound right. You sure?
I could be wrong.
She in the last presidential, it was.
It says
75.
November 8th, 2022 is the primary.
Well,
We've
okay,
just
so
got done with we've just got done with the primary, and now the actual voting will happen. It says the general election will happen November 8th, 2022.
right, so she won her seat in 2020 by a huge margin. There were 308,000 votes cast, and she got 229. The other person got very little. So it's a big lift for the Democrat to pull that off. And I bet it's because they've probably gerrymandered Georgia 14th to the limit. But this is the thing, right? That if you put candidates like Marjorie Taylor Greene in a fair district or statewide, they never win. And that's why Mitch McConnell is so upset, because he said the Senate races are statewide. And when you go statewide, you can't be saying crazy things, because then you attract too many Democratic voters against you, right?
Right, exactly.
So I'll research that a little more, because you brought up a really interesting point. There might be some information on the.
It's saying here, July 17th, U.S. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene is still spending money faster than she's taking it in, and she's running against Democrat Flowers. And Marcus Flowers wrote, if a Democrat can win Alaska, then a Democrat can sure the heck win here in Northwest Georgia.
Well, then, yeah. Well, okay. Let me turn to. I'll tell you this. She's not someone I know a time for, but it is curious that there is enough there. In fact, I had said this a year ago.
What?
That there's enough there for her to go down. There is. There's no
Okay,
question.
that's
So
what
yeah,
the word
so
is,
it's,
that he's
so it's
more
possible.
favored for some reason.
It's possible. Yeah.
Because who she ran against in the primary was other Republicans.
Yeah. Well,
Now
but
she's
that's,
going to
yeah,
run against a Democrat that a lot of Republicans like.
that's right. Well, so yeah, let's just say that based on her chart,
We'll see. We can
yeah,
cross our fingers.
it's a
But
possibility.
I've always seen her go down because of the insurrection. She'll be part of that.
Well, yeah, that you can, yeah, you can take to the bank. Same with Matt Gaetz and people like that. They were asking for pardons. Ask yourself, why are you asking for a pardon? Matt Gaetz and Louis Gohmert, you'd have to ask, well, what were you doing? So in other words, you're admitting you were breaking the law, and now you want relief from that before you're even charged. He was looking.
Yes.
I heard Matt Gaetz wanted to be pardoned for anything in his life because he wanted to bring in the other stuff too.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I had to discuss that because I heard word that the guy running against Marjorie Taylor Greene was looking better in the polls, and I was shocked. But remember, her primary was only with other Republicans.
Right, right. Yeah, no, well, that's the thing. I mean, primaries you go off against. It's kind of like Liz Cheney and that lady. That's the primary. Then whoever advances goes to the November 20 election against the Democrat. But say in Wisconsin, it's very hard for a Democrat to win.
Right.
In Georgia 14, if you base it on the way the election in 2020, Marjorie had way more votes. So normally there's a big hill to climb. When you're winning something by 75 to 25, normally it's hard for the Democrat to make up that
Right.
ground.
Normally,
But
even in
yeah,
Alaska,
no,
they were
yeah,
shocked.
well, right, right, because she's pretty abnormal. So that's probably why, right? Abnormally.
Right, right. But I think this insurrection, and when they start, like they just got that guy off a state count, some state
Right.
seat, because he was he was the Cowboys for Trump.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they said he'll probably appeal it, but you watch, they haven't actually used that law that if you were involved in an insurrection, you cannot hold office. And
Right.
they're starting off with this guy. You watch, it's going to get bigger and bigger, and all those people that were part of it are going to get
Yeah. I mean,
framed.
you could also say that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, when you play like that, sooner or later, maybe it takes an extra year, maybe
Yeah,
2 years.
it
You're
catches up
asking
with
for
you.
it because it's so blatantly, corrupt
And
and crazy.
also, Mitch McConnell, my friend, was 26% approval rating. And he got more votes than there are people. So what the heck? That was cheating at its finest.
It is Kentucky though, which
Yeah,
it can be. Don't forget. This is why
like
people
Rand
that are
Paul
alarmed.
too.
People that are alarmed. Yeah, Rand Paul. There's another one. Unbelievable. Look at one of the things where people were so upset about Biden's approval rating, but the thing is, Biden's base is over 50, and especially when you give him opponents that are really bad, terrible, corrupt, Democrats will always vote for Biden. They're just not happy in that if you go back a few months, they wanted more from him. He wasn't delivering, but now it's up. So this is the logic. Like Mitch McConnell, he might have a low approval rating, but he'll still more likely beat the person there in Kentucky, right? Maybe not in New
Because
York.
they're mostly, yeah.
Yeah, because people like that will go, well, yeah, but I mean, we're not going to vote for her, for him.
Well, it was
He's
so interesting to see Mitch McConnell on Fox News blaming the Supreme Court and their decision on Roe versus Wade for the reason that the Republicans are doing so poorly. I'm like, Biash, you're the reason that that Supreme Court is who it is today.
Oh, of course, of course. But I mean, listen, if you're gonna bring up hypocrisy as a problem in politics, I'd say hypocrisy is what runs politics. I mean, these are like world-class hypocrites,
Right.
cosmic
And it's not
hypocrisy.
that the Democrats are really, I worry about Democrats really winning, and they will coming up here. But I worry about them getting too big for their britches.
They might, but I mean, the bottom line is, that you got to go step by step. Right now, these elections are critical because you can't let them have anything. If you let them have anything with Trump roaming around, especially, it's a huge problem, right? Because
Right.
they're willing to lie and make up stuff, and I mean, can you imagine McCarthy is on camera in January of 2021 saying this is Trump's fault, and then oh, I didn't say that, all right, I won't even bring that up or whatever, and his voters, don't even care. Normally, you'd lose your job on that alone, right, for being so.
Oh, and he even said, trust me, when we take over
Yeah, sure,
Congress, the first thing we're going to do is impeach Biden. We're going to impeach Merrick Garland and Dr. Fauci.
sure.
First thing and as a voter, why would you want to have to go through this mess? It's already a mess now with these January 6th and all this. Now we're going to turn around and do it to the other side. And it's like, where's the progress? Well, Biden brought in progress. He brought in the student loan. He brought in,
Yes.
the green earth, which we're going through. I don't know if you heard, but there's a huge iceberg as big as what they
Yes.
say. Did you
Yes.
see that?
I heard. Yeah,
It's
because
on a string getting ready to, and they say we're going to go up 2 feet in the water.
yeah, it's yeah, I know if you ever want to do a scary sort of mental contemplation, just watch the ocean, imagine they were a foot higher, and visualize where that would go. That is
Well, the what do
scary.
they do it when regular water mixes with the seawater, insolidation or something like that?
Okay, that I
It's
don't
going
know.
to filter out the salt in the seawater, which also creates more havoc.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge threat. Huge
That's
threat.
what, while we're over here all upset about so and so and so and so, I'm feeling like we get interrupted. Like there's going to be so many things, and I don't want people to be frightened. Not everything's in the United States, but I see natural disasters and just one thing after the other, and people are just trying to take care of their own people.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
that
going to be
part.
sad.
That's the hardest thing because it's not like you're talking politics, papers, laws.
Right.
That's like,
Jesus Christ, Death Valley with Armageddon rains, flooding in Death Valley.
yeah, yeah, no, no.
Well, we've been living quite comfortably, for a while here, and now we're about ready to rock the boat.
I know. I mean,
I even bought a boat because I have a bad feeling about flooding where I live. I bought a boat because
then you're
just
ready,
in
right?
cases, a boat big enough for my son and my 2 dogs, just in cases.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see.
By the way, you asked me. Was there a question about someone said about Jimmy Carter? You
Yeah,
mentioned-
someone said, how is he doing?
Well, Jimmy Carter. The thing is, he's 98, right? And
He's a Libra.
he's a Libra, and the thing is that he might, he's got a shot at getting to be a centenarian, like over 100, because where it becomes really difficult for this chart, if he can get through till the spring of next year, and there's some challenge there before that, which could be a problem. So I mean, and he's 98, so that's there between now and March of 23. But if he gets that far, then the next big bump comes all way over in 2025 when Saturn starts to make its way into Aries, because Aries opposes Libra and so forth. So he's got a shot though at being a centenarian, maybe the first and maybe the one and only. Have there been any presidents that got to 100? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No. So he has a
And
shot.
I feel if his wife goes first, that he would go soon after, and vice versa.
Yeah, well, he's a Libra. That's the sign of marriage. So
Yeah.
there's I mean, I don't mean to laugh because it's not a funny thing, but there's this astrologer that I studied, Libra astrologer, and he died at 98, a few hours after his wife died. She
Wow.
died in the morning, and he died in the afternoon.
That's amazing.
I know, pretty
So
incredible.
how hot is it where you're at?
Now here in the West Coast, in Seattle, in the Pacific Northwest, excepting a few days in the year, like in the summer where it gets up in the 90s, 100 here is very rare. Most of the time,
It was 100 at 8 o'clock this morning here.
yeah, no, here at 70s, and then at night it goes to 50. It's really brisk and cool, so no, it's totally fine. You have to
Well,
wear a jacket at night.
Pray that I'm telling you, I might have my power out this evening. I'll tell you, hold on one second. in the sun right now at my house, it's 121 degrees,
Oh, Jesus.
which means in the shade, it's about 110.
That's really hot.
And I don't even want to drive my car. I don't want to go nowhere.
No, I know it's better
So,
to stay indoors.
but I'm doing what they said. At 4 o'clock, they want everybody to shut down everything, put your air conditioner at 78 degrees, and pray you don't get your power out.
Right. Yeah, because
So,
if you do, then
I did buy a generator, but this will be my last year worrying about this stuff because the generator probably won't go in until October, November. So,
right. That
all
would
right,
keep,
my friend. Well,
that
it's
would keep it
wonderful
going.
talking about you. Well, enough about you. What do you think of me? Bye, everybody. We need to do this more often, Andre.
Yes, let's
It's so
definitely
much fun.
let's
Thank
do it
you.
more often. Bye, everyone.
Bye.